Hello. I'm sorry I did not do a video last week. I was away and I was not able to get one made. So this is kind of going to be 2 weeks, kind of, and I'll break up some parts for other videos as well. So that I don't have to make this video 10 minutes long. Hopefully it's only going to be like 4 or 5 minutes long. So let's get into it. The Department of Justice approved T-Mobile's Sprint merger that we've been talking about over the past year and a half, something like that. And they agreed to sell some assets to Dish to create another wireless carrier. So it's not just AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile Sprint. It will be T-Mobile Sprint, Dish carrier. AT&T and Verizon is the big company, so there still will be five. It's just that way. There's more competition. Really, is what I'm trying to say. Roundup has more issues, more lawsuits about cancer and that's so toxic, which seemingly is. I mean, it kills everything it touches. But yeah, Amazon didn't have record profit this quarter as their cloud growth slowed and higher shipping costs led to losses, as well as there were losses in their overseas retail business. So, still a good quarter. But they haven't had their record profit that they've had for the last 5 quarters, 3 quarters, something like that. They've had it for around a year, I believe. They've had record profit. Tesla missed earnings. Surprise, surprise. I hate Tesla. You know that. Tesla missed the earnings. What this says about the company, I would say in general, it says, well, it's just a bad quarter because they have been meeting production numbers. So I think it's just a bad quarter. We'll see what this quarter brings. So we'll see. It's just a blip. I do think. I don't think it's the end, no doubt. Not yet. But because they've seemed to work on their cash flow issues, cut spending. They're producing more. They're not burning through cash as much, is what I'm trying to say. So yeah. AT&T had good subscription numbers, so that's good for their business. Apple purchased Intel's mobile chip business for $1 billion. That's news for Apple and Intel. So I'd say it's good for both sides, really. That way Intel can focus on other stuff. It's $1 billion. But it's not the money, really. It's that they can reprioritize to other things that they'll make more money off of rather than a low margin chip business. And at the same time, Apple can work on a chip business that personalized with their phone to get the best results. So yeah, Facebook and Google both had mixed earnings, kind of good, more on the good side, but yeah. Now on to this week, this past week, because everything before this was like 2 weeks ago. Like you know what I'm talking about. The Fed rate cut and its effects. I'm going to have a whole video on that. So it'll probably be 5-10 minutes, something like that. I'm going to have a whole video on its effects. But in general, the Fed cut the interest rates, by 23 basis points, otherwise known as 0.25%, which is half of what was expected. I'm going to get into it in a whole nother video. The point is the Fed cut rates. The markets fell as a result. So yeah, watch the video if you need to understand that more and anything else about it. I'll have a whole video on that. New tariffs. Trump proposed 10% on $300 billion of Chinese imports. This really just after a week of market, like from the rate cuts. Then we add on tariffs. Uncertainty just spiked. The VIX spiked this week. The volatility index is what I mean by VIX. And it was not a good week. It was a lot of, I'm not going to say panic because I don't think we're at that stage, but just uncertainty, and the markets fell because, as we know, investors hate uncertainty. Because why do you want uncertainty? There's no reason. No one wants that. It makes complete sense. There's debt spending inquiries, so we're allowed to issue more debt and spend $300 billion more over the next 2 years, I think it was. As a massive spending bill. The tariffs, so here's the effect of the tariffs. you can put your opinion on this. Tariffs cost China their top trading partner with the U.S. So China was the top trading partner with the U.S. Now, because of the tariffs, we're not trading as much with China, especially agriculturally. U.S. farmers are hurting, as well as production. A lot of companies are going through Vietnam, Korea, and Japan, other Asian countries that have lower labor costs than here or North America. Mexico is the largest trading partner. That's really, and that doesn't mean they're growing as a result. It's just that I believe they were the second biggest, and China's dropped. So Mexico is now the top. Jobs came in. This is another reason why the markets were not as happy and fun as in weeks before, and this is because 2 days after the rate cut, there was a jobs report, and it was fine. I have no problems with it, but after everything else, it created more fears and uncertainty. So $164,000 jobs were added this quarter, or this month, and 170,000 were expected. The unemployment rate stayed steady at 3.7%, rather than going down to 3.6% it was predicted to be at. FTC antitrust probe on Facebook acquisitions. So this just goes more into the antitrust things with big tech, and on not really just the acquisitions. Did they acquire in anti-competitive ways? Did they acquire too fast? What did they acquire? Is that probably really what's looking at is WhatsApp and Instagram, and if that was anti-competitive to other companies. There are still recession signals. So on top of the bad news, there's recession signals still going off. They've been going off for a while. We're at the last stages of the economic growth. So yeah, and one of them is that the manufacturing sector isn't expanding as fast as it was a year ago. It's slowing down, and typically manufacturing grows when the economy is good. So if the economy is doing as well, manufacturing struggles. So yeah. Apple had lower profits but higher revenues. And here's oil companies had a good quarter. Here's something I want to end on. So we had, the Boris Johnson, I believe his name was. Sorry about that. All right, so Boris Johnson was elected Prime Minister in the UK, I believe his name is. And he really just wants Brexit, immediately. And he's willing to do a no-deal Brexit, which basically means there's no economic deal that goes in place, and that will really, really hurt the UK. Because that means not only is regulations different, but trading issues. There's all these different logistical issues that will pop up when no economic deal comes out of the exit. When the pound dropped 4.3% in July with the new prime minister, and it probably will drop more as a result of, because this was 2 weeks, I think. It dropped 4.3%, and it'll probably drop more as we get closer and closer, and the possibility of a no-deal Brexit rises higher and higher. So I'm going to end on that. Stay on the lookout for the Fed rate cut video. So yeah, have a good week.